Page 296. What does it say? So write it down. Definition. Is it on 296? Do you have your red books? Is it Monday? Yeah. 296. 296. 296. 296. Oh, there it is. Visual unity. Okay? And I can just copy it down out of my red book. A quality of wholeness or oneness that is achieved through the effective use of the elements and principles of art. So this time, instead of just the elements, we're also talking about principles, which is kind of new. The quality of wholeness or oneness that is achieved through the effective use of the elements and principles of art. Now, that being said, most work that you have is going to have a little bit of contrast and a little bit of unity. Why? If you have all unity, let me show you this one. I showed you a very unified piece. Okay. Can you see this? You can't even see it, can you? Sorry about that. So let me point out something in your book. I can't think of his name right now. It's got to be in here. Ah, yes. Look at the Rothko on page 380. Okay, how many different kinds of shapes has he used? How many different kinds of shapes? Tell your partners. Tell your partners. Say it really loud. Thank you. What is that shape? I heard one. Rectangle. Okay. Is it going to be this quiet when I give you studio time? I hope so. Okay. So, rectangles in how many colors? 2. Okay? Basically orange and yellow, right? And then something in between back here. Okay? How many textures? Really just one. Now you can't see this really well. You've got to see these paintings in life to really get them at all. But really he's just used one, which is kind of a rough texture. It's not smooth. The edges are rough. I think you can see that in your book. So what does and the purpose of these is supposed to create kind of a meditative purpose. To get you to go inward and meditate and through the colors and stuff. One of my students, because most students don't like these pieces, but one of them said all of a sudden in my art history class, I get it, Ms. Zmolek. And we were in Chicago in the art museum, looking at him, and they said, it's kind of like I'm at the beach and just looking out into, nothingness. Okay, so that being said, tell your partner some moods, feelings that this communicates as opposed to the other one. Okay, so what as opposed is obviously the opposite. What okay. Ashley, give me something that it communicates.
Calm.
Good. Calm. Brandon.
Organized.
Organized. Good. Jordan. Look at your other notes and see if there's any other things that would be the opposite. Is it noisy?
No,
It's quiet.
quiet.
Mm-hmm. Is it complicated? Simple. Good. Is it confusing? No. And what a word that I'm going to suggest we use for that, clarity. We know exactly what we're looking at. Is it weak or powerful? Weak? Could be one or the other, depending on, what elements they use, the colors. If it was really strong colors, it could seem very powerful. If it was very soft colors, so let's leave that one out, okay? Formal or informal? Formal. Okay, good. All right, now there are 3 basic ways, and this is really important to know these. And this is one of the challenges when I get students in painting, when you take drawing classes, when you take ceramics classes, no matter what other art classes you may do. This is something that will make your piece communicate more clearly, and that's if you have at least some unity to it. Unless you're trying to communicate something chaotic, and then you're going to do something. All right. So the first one is simplicity. In other words, don't use a whole lot of different shapes. So here, this is unified, one shape, right? This one, 50 million shapes, the opposite, okay? So if you want to have unity in your piece, you're going to limit the elements. That's how you keep it simple. So limit the colors, limit the lines, limit the shapes, okay? Limit it in some ways. Now, as chaotic as this is, there is some unity here. What's been limited here? What element? Color, thank you. We've mostly used red, orange, blue, yellow, and that's it, and black. Okay? So that gives it some sense of unity. So even chaotic pieces lots of times will have some amount of unity. Maybe the purpose here is to draw attention to the different shapes, because if they were all different colors, you may not notice them. Okay. Another way is repetition. And that's when you repeat an element. And I'll give you a couple examples. An example here, simplicity. I'll do a Mark Rothko. Okay, here's my composition. Okay, all right. So another way to unify is to repeat an element. And so here's an example where it's definitely not simplicity in terms of most of the elements, but what's being repeated to give this unity is color. All right, so you can have different elements, different colors, for example. So let's say I have a composition with, this is red, whether you can see it or not, red and blue. I've used different colors. I'm using different shapes. All right, there's not much unity here, and it's not. There's not. What does it communicate? Not real clear. Okay, but let me add a line and repeat it, and that gives it, helps bring the piece together by repeating something over and over again. Now it doesn't look so not unified. Okay, now the last one, this is the one people probably, some of you don't know this word, but it's called proximity. All right, what does proximity mean?
It's how close or far away.
Yes, okay. So how do you create unity using proximity? You limit or eliminate the space between the shapes and forms. So let me give you this example right here. You're going to take this example and not do repetition, but I'm going to eliminate all of the space in between these shapes. So if I can do my circle here, and then I'm going to have that overlapping my triangle. So this is what we mean by eliminate. And then I'll add my square. So there's no longer any space between these. And this is a much more unified composition by eliminating all of the space. Same thing, but now it's unified. Now let me show you an example of limiting just on another piece of paper. If I have a composition like this, and I have 4 squares, all right, whoopsie, right there. Now, you tell me, are they close together? Obviously not. No, dumb is Zmolek. So, take those same 4 squares and put them in close proximity. Which composition is more unified? That one. Okay? And why is unity important? So that you can clearly communicate something. When it's the same thing as, you know, if you have 500 items on your bed and you tell your mom, can you go grab my phone? It's on my bed. It's going to be hard for her to find it. So same thing visually. If you want somebody to find something in your composition or to notice something in your composition, you have to have some unity so it's not confusing. All right, so number 41, obviously. We only go to 46. We're getting there. Yay! I know you're getting ready to do something different. Composition that is very unified. So the Rothko here, this would be an example. It's going to be a boring composition probably. These squares are right next to each other, or rectangles are right next to each other. He's only used rectangles. He's limited the colors. Okay, and limited the shapes. So that's that. The second composition should be very orderly and very unified, and then the other one should be insane. Okay, 39 is your insane composition. 41 is your unified. Got it? All right. If anybody wants me to, if you've done more work over the weekend and you want me to come around and look at your stuff, I will get my